们队伍目前的状态可能还是不是很稳定吧，配合上还是有点小细节上的问题。
最近的话，输洋安基之后就是一直没有输了嘛。从结果来看是好的，但是过程还是蛮辛苦的。
IG 这支队伍属于那种个人实力都比较强的队伍嘛，他们的 ADC 会打得特别凶，可能会能点你一下就偷偷点你一下。
打得有点凶了，这上有大招的，这边要注意船长的大，西部来一个有假表躲掉了，哇，漂亮！杰克劳两边都有信心，杰克劳秀起来了。
我们3路不出失误，能压制对面的话，冥王去对面野区玩带节奏的话，应该我们会很好打。
3路压制不存在的吧？
一样是进攻性打野的话，我也会入侵他的野区。
他打不过我吧？
他们中路应该打不过我们 Rookie， 只要做好我们该做的，我们应该就能赢下来。
新年愿望是我们赢了 IG， 一起回家过个好年。
新年快乐 and Happy New Year, everyone. We have got the LPL back in our last broadcast before the New Year break, and we could not be more excited to wrap up day number 3 of the cross conference. We have got some matches lined up for you today. You can see BLG, Bilibili Gaming, making their way into the stadium, 4-3 right now, feeling pretty confident about how they're doing in the standings. Of course, their opponents on the other side, the notorious TOP, 0-6. Not a single series win, but perhaps today could be the day. Well, welcome to the desk, everyone. My name's Dom. This is Rez. Have you ever shown up to an event with a red shirt with golden lions on it?
This is awkward.
Someone else is wearing the same thing.
We should just send you back home. That's exactly what we should do here. But yeah, come back. It's nice to be here, of course, in our new get-ups in the Chinese New Year.
Yeah, of course. And again, like you said, this is going to be the last broadcast before the Chinese New Year. The broadcast for the LPL will resume Friday, February 23rd. But until then, we're going to be on hiatus, so it's plenty of time for you guys to get caught up on all of the excellent action that we've got going on. But still, we've got some games coming at you earlier up. Later on today, how is time and space is a really weird thing. Later on today, but yesterday we had some matches as well that unfortunately we did not get to cover. Those matches were Vici versus Suning and LGD versus Snake. And we did get to see some things a little bit expected, some things a little unexpected.
Yeah, what was unexpected for me was how strong LGD looked, because even though it was a 2-1 victory, as Snake, of course, flew from Chongqing to Hangzhou and played in the Hangzhou arena, LGD put up a fight, and I thought Imp looked fantastic that set.
Yeah, Imp was all over the place. He was trying his heart out to carry as hard as he can, just not quite able to do it. Guoguo landing a clutch shockwave at the end to win this series. But Suning, they've also played against Vici Gaming in the first set of the day, and Vici still 0-7 without a win to their name.
Yeah, and Suning just looked better and better. They brought in Hacker for the series, and he was able to hit some incredible plays, of course, on the Zac. Double MVP, also on the Jarvan. The Jarvan set was hilarious because he was able to get so many kills on the top side of the map, just ganking long time and time again. He had so many kills underneath him that he had like the Warriors build, Black Cleaver later. I haven't seen that in some time. Most Jarvans just go towards the tanky build. If he got that lead for himself, he was able to just snowball it with Knight right behind.
Yeah, and we're still seeing some great things from Knight, the natural carry for Suning, showing once again what happens when he gets his hand on Corki, the huge damage bombardier.
Yeah, I love the fact that he's able to kind of play Corki to that kind of success. Of course, once he gets to Triforce, he finds himself in the side lane. Got picked once, but that was really it. At that point forward, he's able to constantly force the enemy team to his side of the lane, and then in team fights, he was able to output so much damage.
And now as a result of that, we've actually got the cross-conference matchup. Which of these two sides is doing better? Is it the East? Is it the best? Well, it turns out East does not stand for least. It stands for Beast. They're 3-1 over the West.
Yeah, Snake is looking to be the only flag bearer when it comes to the West side. Sure, EDG hasn't played just yet, of course, in cross-conference, but it seems like they'll need to output a lot of worth, especially, let's say, BLG later today, if they want to basically try and tie it up.
Yeah, that's something that we keep talking about, is the West Conference being a little bit more top-heavy. We just haven't seen that top fully come to bear on the LPL just yet. But as a result of those games, let's actually take a look at our standings and see where everything shakes out. As you said, Snake 6-1, head and shoulders above everyone else.
Yeah, on the west side, of course, Snake able to take it, and even though it was a really close set, they were able to just kind of showcase that it doesn't matter what, of course, studio they're in, they're looking strong. And of course, the east side, for me, the most surprising one is Rogue Warriors coming up 5-2. Not really starting off too strong at the beginning of the split. And then their most recent set taking down WE was a big surprise to me. Looks like not only is their team fighting strong, but they're getting a lot stronger in the early portions of the game. Thankfully, of course, to Flawless.
And you can see the team synergy continue to grow over time. Of course, our matches today, we're going to see the likes of TOP versus BLG in our first game, and IG versus FPX, an opportunity for Invictus Gaming to try to catch up to Snake.
Yeah, Invictus Gaming, ever since, of course, they took their first loss of the series to RNG, first game of the LPL Spring Split, they just kept winning. Especially once they brought the Shy in, it felt like no lanes could lose. And of course, we had that video, of course, leading in today's games. And we got to see, of course, a lot of confidence, a lot of bravado about just there's like full faith in the fact that their laning phase is just that strong. You got to wonder if FPX is even going to be able to take them down in the early game, which has been their best point for them.
And of course, that's going to be our second matchup for the day, though. But for now, let's turn our attention to TOP versus BLG. This is a match that could provide an opportunity for TOP because, again, they are on the longest series loss streak in LPL history. It is a long time since they've had a series win. They're picking up games here and there. It's just not enough to close out the series.
One game, to be exact, when they were able to take down LGD the last time we saw them. And that was like the most promising series for me, just because you got to see them trying to form an identity. And it was around that late game team fighting. They really went towards the late game kind of build up. Early game's been a lot more slower for them. And this is only with one series, but it seems like they're just trying to figure out what they can do best to take game after game. Hopefully they can take a game here. Bringing in Moyu in a lot more often, which is, for me, really not so much surprising, but it kind of showcases that they do want at least one strong point, and it seems like it's going to be the carry top lane.
Especially when you consider his opponent on the other side, Amazing J. So that looks to be a bit of an exciting matchup. But I think the thing that we should be turning our attention to is in the mid lane, the likes of Goong versus Athena. That guy has been playing so much Azir, so much Zoe, and he's been doing some good work for his team.
Yeah, the word, of course, of the day seems to be consistency, especially for Athena. The biggest worry for Athena going into this split was the fact that his laning phase would get exposed by gank pressure, mostly because they didn't have a jungler, or at least a consistent jungler, up until this split. Now, of course, using SKS consistently, and it seems like his synergy with SKS is getting a lot better. His laning phase, a lot better as well. And his team fights, he's been a beast.
Yeah, we've seen what happens once SKS can actually bully someone out of a lane. I think it might have been Pepper of FPX that he so brutally demolished in their 2-0 just a few weeks ago. But already you can see BLG on stage. They're looking happy. They're smiling. They are not sweating this matchup against TOP.
Yeah, real confidence there. And it's hard not to be confident, especially going up against TOP. You're going into a long break, of course. You would love to have a free win for yourself. And you can't count out TOP just because they're really starting to build what makes them a team in the game. But for BLG, the confidence is granted.
Yeah, the hope is that it's actually going to be enough to pull them through. On the other side, TOP, you're going to be seeing some interesting people on that side because it's not, in fact, Karen today. It is XX coming in for the jungler, along with, as you already alluded to, Moyu on the top half.
Yeah, Moyu I can get behind. And as we go into the lineup, this is for BLG, of course. Amazing J in the top lane, SKS in the jungle, Athena is the mid laner, of course, rounding out the bottom lane, Jin Zhao and Road.
And we'll be getting to see their opponents in just a moment, and we could talk a little bit more about that matchup for those two top laners. But BLG, they're probably feeling pretty good. Though a few days ago, they did lose their series against RNG 2-1. It did go to Game 3, late game, all 3 games. So perhaps they could be feeling a little better coming into this one. But there's that Moyu you were talking about. Moyu, XX, Goong, Choo Choo, and Cat.
And of course, we were alluding to the second member that's coming in, XX. XX, every single time he's come in, hasn't been too promising. Always did kind of favor Karn of the two junglers, but it makes sense if you are finding yourself not taking wins, to want to switch it up. And a lot of this is probably just based off of their scrims. If they're finding more success with XX, they would want to bring him up, especially get him more experience. If it is a problem with experience, then you'd want to at least try and ensure that up.
The big thing that we have to be conscientious of was this was also a strategy that Dan Gaming, previously Top, tried during Summer Split last year, and that they were trying to find a team identity by swapping out a whole bunch of members.
Yes.
It did not work. So I like the idea in trying to inject some fresh blood here. Do you think it could actually give them some vitality?
Yeah, here's the thing. The difference between then and now, then it was because that was a real question, because they were winning a lot with their primary lineup. So it was like, why are you changing things up when you're finding victory with your strategy in that lineup? Now they do need to do that just because they're trying to figure out what works, because essentially all of what's happened in the past few weeks hasn't. Biggest question really for them is talent lane for lane. So that's why I do like Moyu, is because you do see good things in Moyu. He last split brought in the Kennen. This time around bringing a lot of GP. He comes out winning lanes, or obviously it's like a fight or flight kind of mentality, either doing very well or doing poorly. Recently has been doing well for himself. So if there is some form of consistency in that top side of the map, I think that they should look good.
So then to follow up on that, expecting the likes of the Kennen, the Gangplank, these big team fighting late game champions out of TOP, this is a style that they've somewhat been going towards, whereas BLG on the other hand, they've been playing a little bit more of an aggressive early game. We know they still have that late game, pull the rabbit out of the hat, miracle play. I mean, you can never take the spark out of that team, but perhaps this could be a stylistic favor for BLG as a result of this?
It's hard, because I would actually say that the veteran team fighting team is BLG. So while we were talking about TOP wanting to be that team fighting team, this is a true test for them if they can take that. You're right about the early game, though. BLG has been doing really well in terms of rotating topside and diving that with 3-mans. It seems like SKS and Athena has been getting strong vision control topside. So this might be the toughest challenge for Moyu, as he might have to meet about 3 people.
Well, hey, it's the toughest hurdles that lead to the biggest rewards, but it's just about time for us to get into game. So for now, let's hear from our casters.
이후에 이제 BLG 아테나 선수랑 경기하는데 이제 아테나 선수 경우 안정적으로 게임을 잘하기 때문에 그에 맞춰서 저 역시 이제 좀 안정적으로 하고 이제 팀 게임 단위의 플레이를 많이 할 것 같아요.
Thank you very much, guys. I'm Anthony Stewart. Joining me is Zach Rusty Pie. I'm about to get into the first best of 3 series for today. It's going to be TOP taking on BLG. And let's kickstart where the desk kind of left off. TOP, they've been on the longest losing streak here in the LPL. Yep. And is this where things start to change for them, Rusty?
I mean, okay, so you'd come into this, you'd be like, absolutely not. They just, it looks like there's no chance. But there is always a chance when it comes to Dan Gaming, now known as TOP Esports. And the reason that I bring up Dan Gaming is perhaps coming in the cross-conference, we're going to see the inverse law of Dan Gaming in effect here. A side that started the regular season incredibly well, lost everything in cross-conference. Now for TOP Sports Gaming, we've seen them lose every regular intra-conference game. They come to cross-conference. Is this the chance that the inverse law is true and we see them win every game in cross-conference?
Probably does not seem like that's the case, because
there's
BLG,
no mathematical connection. I'm just speculating.
BLG, however, have been looking really good currently in the LPL. They've been dropping a few games here and there, but they started very strong and have picked up some great performances against top teams in their conference.
And I think to bring back to what Raz said about this as well is the BLG are a very good team fighting team, and they're up against TOP who want to be a very good team fighting team. So if we look at the style, not only is this a big test for TOP and their ability to team fight, but this should actually be perfect for Bilibili Gaming to team fight where they are stronger, supposedly, than their opponents in this set.
On top of that, it almost turns into BLG have to win this game. This is a cross-conference match against the bottom of the table from the opposite conference. This should theoretically be a point that BLG cannot afford to lose before they head back into their regular conference matches.
Oh, of course. If you're looking at this from the perspective of BLG, their goal should be a 2-0. It should be clean, and there should be no opportunity for TOP to come into this at all. However, their opponents also must win for them relative to what they need to be doing for their group as well. In the battle of East versus West, East has got the upper hand. There is a chance that can continue here today.
And then we have to take a look as well as TOP. What do they have to do going into this match against BLG? Because at some point, if they want to start looking to be title contenders in the LPL, they need to start picking up wins. And the first match of cross-conference could be the chance for them to do just that.
Certainly. However, you're looking at the bands that have just started as we get into draft phase, and the one time that TOP won a set, or won a game from a set, I should say, against LGD, they played Speed Cogmore. And that's already been removed.
Yep, instantly banned out here by BLG with Tom Kent and Jarvan to follow. Braum, Vladimir, and Camille are the 3 bans that come out from TOP.
And as far as TOP's bans go, Braum is the one abstract ban within that list. Amazing J and Vladimir is very good as a pairing, and Camille, of course, the exact same thing. However, there is a 3rd champion in the top lane pool that Amazing J has got. He's just locked that one in.
Yep, and as much as Vladimir and Camille come to mind, Gangplank has been one of Amazing J's more successful champions on the top side of the map. Going up against TOP here, they'll get the next 2 picks in the first draft phase. Jarvan was already taken off the table by BLG in their first ban, leaving Kha'Zix open. Wouldn't be surprised if XX goes to that champion.
Yeah, Kha'Zix a very good option. Of course, he is going to lock that one in. And the Kha'Zix itself, just very good at dueling in the jungle. He shouldn't be afraid of SKS playing anything really now. With the Jarvan gone, there's a chance he looks at something like a Lee Sin, like a Rek'Sai, but you'd expect something more like the Sejuani now that they've been able to lock in the Gangplank for top lane.
Which is still available for SKS to pick up a champion that he has played a few times in the LPL. However, Chocho will pick up Caitlyn as his AD carry of choice in the bottom lane.
Yeah, with no Kog'Maw available, the Caitlyn's still there, just a bit more lane dominance to be seen from the champion of choice down in the AD carry position for Chocho. And with Cat still yet to pick his role, I think there's a lot of lane dominance potentially available now that the Braum is gone.
We'll still have to see what's going to be paired up with Chocho's Caitlyn in that bottom lane. SKS does lock in the Sejuani, so he does go towards the preferred tank in the LPL. And my goodness, that's a lot of mid laners that are still left up and available. We saw the flash of Zoe, the flash of Ryze, and Azir.
Now, Athena's most recently played champion is the Zoe, but his most played champion is the Azir, and does feel like he has the pick of the litter. Of course, a high priority we're noting right now of mid lane options. Not only is it there, but they're choosing to lock it in 3rd before the next ban phase.
And they get the Zoe pick in the mid lane. Zir still left up, Ryze still available for TOP. Potentially could try and pick their matchup into Zoe before the ban phase.
Yeah, Gung should probably pick Ryze. Gung should play that one if he's going to look towards a matchup right now. But with all of the champions still there, they don't need to pick in their mid lane currently. They have got the first pick in the next rotation if they want to match roles. The top lane seems to be a bigger priority.
And they will get the first ban going into that second rotation, as the top lane pick is Na for Moyu.
Good matchup into Gangplank. Makes a whole lot of sense to be locking that one in, of course, just before that ban phase we mentioned before.
There are already 80 carry bans. They're going to be coming out from TOP. So first, it's going to be Kalista taken off the table, followed by a Karma ban from BLG.
I actually really like that. Of course, we mentioned Ryze for Gung, but he did play Karma in there once again, their last successful map take, where he was able to protect the AD carry of TOP. That was a Kog'Maw, but Caitlyn can be protected just as well, especially if they enable her through a strong laning phase or jungle pressure down into the bottom lane. And so BLG don't even let that be a possibility. They take it away before it could ever exist.
And I still have the 3 big mid lane champion picks of Malzahar, Azir, and Ryze to choose from. Not all of them can be banned out here. It's Varus is the next ban from TOP. Finally, Bilibili Gaming will take away Ryze as their final ban.
When you're looking at these 2 AD carries being banned away from TOP, there's a lot of lane control within those. Of course, the Kalista's more of a kill threat champion. The Varus still has high kill threat, but has a lot more lane control. You might even see something like the, again, Xayah works, but similar to the Tristana style of play from the side of BLG, something that can push waves and prevent TOP from chipping away at the turret is the best way to play this one out.
Well, we're going to get Galio locked in for TOP. Gung will pick that up in the mid lane. Similar to the Karma, going to be looking to try and protect the Caitlyn with his ultimate. The final pick for TOP will be their support of choice. However, we get the Lovers bottom lane of Xayah Rakan for BLG.
Yeah, never one without the other when it comes to locking them in. I do appreciate that they lock them at the exact same time in the pick order where they get 2 selections at once. No chance to take it away, no chance to deny it. And BLG will get themselves the optimal bottom lane.
Oh, everyone in BLG have just picked according to their position, from top all the way down to support. Whereas the final pick for TOP is going to be Alistar as the support of choice for Cat in the bottom lane.
Bit of extra engage and just some raw tankiness to be seen down in the bottom lane. And something that you will notice is going through TOP's entire lineup, there is a very high chance that they are all going to be super tanks protecting a Caitlyn and Kha'Zix just poking and threatening to assassinate on flanks. Galio is the wild card thrown into that mix. Of course, Nara will start offensively with 2 items before becoming a tank, but Galio could go full tank, he could go full AP. We've mentioned this at length already, but different regions have different preferences for item builds, and no one really knows where we're going to end up until we see it happen in game, so we'll have to find out from Goon.
And as you mentioned, the last time TOP picked up a match win, not a series win, but just a single match win, it was through protecting the Kog'Maw picked up by Chocho. This time he's on Caitlyn. Is that what we're going to see TOP try to go towards here today? Try to protect Chocho, try to go to that late game and take it to BLG then?
I do think the best way to start this one off is by working around the bottom lane. Of course, having the Caitlyn down there for lane pressure, just in the AD carry 1v1, and then Alistar to threaten dives. Level 2 Alistar with a Flash Pulverize could engage very easily. You bring a Kha'Zix down there for just damage. As the 3v3 skirmish goes, I do quite like their composition. I would actually be opting away from perhaps the 3v3, those skirmishes, and looking to just get vision and advantages around the map and try and pick people off, because ultimately you don't want to play anything too risky here if you're TOP. You just want to get a snowball for sieging to get a slight edge on gold, and with that advantage you can team fight better, because once again, they want to team fight.
On the flip side of the table, BLG will definitely want to team fight as well. So they're in a tough predicament here, TOP. Forced to try and take the fight to BLG with the team composition they've put together, whereas BLG just looked like a stock standard, very powerful picks coming out top side of the map with the Gangplanks, Johnny and Zoe, and a fairly strong bottom lane of Xayah Rakan.
Oh, it's definitely strong. Of course, they have engage options everywhere for themselves with the Sejuani and the Rakan being able to work in tandem. Zoe puts someone to sleep. They're probably going to get a grey screen on top of that sleep, showing all the follow-up crowd control that they've got available for themselves. But ultimately, looking at these team compositions, I think what stands out the most to me is that TOP want to go forwards. They want to engage forwards if they can and just constantly threaten. And whilst BLG can go forwards, whilst they can make the play, their composition actually excels at kiting. And there is a very difficult predicament for TOP to be in if they ever try to engage. I think the best case scenario for them in this game is to, once again, threaten the engage, never actually engage, and just keep poking, whittling away, getting a gold lead, garnering advantages, and then turning that into such a big lead that you can engage.
We'll have to see if TOP have the patience to do just that. Because we know them as a team that like to team fight, so are BLG. We should see a lot of team fighting action in this match.
Is that Kha'Zix?
That is Kha'Zix.
The sounds.
It was Kha'Zix.
Oh.
He was making those sounds.
Oh.
But he's going to be starting top side of the map and gets a leash from Nah. Whereas BLG will be starting on the bottom side. SKS will get a leash from his bottom lane duo. This does allow TOP to get access to the bottom lane wave instantly.
Yeah, they've been able to push out bottom before the arrival of BLG's 2v2. Now, BLG don't miss any minions, but that's not really the goal here from TOP, or they wouldn't have last hit or auto-attacked at all. They want to push in. The siege starts early.
However, with them showing up in the bottom lane, it does give them an idea that Kha'Zix has started on the top side map. He also walked over a zombie ward, so SKS knows that his blue buff is being taken away. He's going to look to try and contest this. Not going to charge over the wall just yet.
No explosive plan. He wants to save the charge for kill threat, but it means that the blue will get taken before he even gets there.
Already gone. SKS now trying to hunt down this Kha'Zix. Doesn't dodge away from the W. Flashing over the wall. SKS goes over as well, but Kha'Zix is taking the blast cone deeper into the jungle.
Here.
And he's being chased down.
He has nowhere to go. He's going to have to use... Does he have to jump? Yeah, he's in trouble. He's just dead.
Sleepy Trouble Ball puts him to sleep. Left, right, good night comes out. Slowly look and try and lock him down. It'll be a long extended kill here, but first blood is going to be picked up by BLG.
They're going to give it to Athena eventually as well, so the Zoe will pick it up. And rule number one of playing against the Zoe is you meant to pressure her. You meant to keep her away. If she have a snowball, she will one-hit everybody. And we are 2 minutes and 50 seconds into the game. She has double buffs and an unsealed spellbook if she wants to swap to teleport. Then she has an item advantage, and all hell breaks loose.
Curious starts coming out from TOP, showing their bottom lane early, allowing SKS to know that Kha'Zix did start top side of the map, and not getting those positional advantages. On top of that, it's a Kha'Zix. He should be the one that is aggressive in this jungle matchup.
Of course, we get to look at the runes here. The zombie ward that you mentioned earlier is SKS threatening the dive on the bottom, or the top side.
This is a reverse situation.
There's
It's the Gangplank that is taking charge on the top side map. Moyu uses his flash early, locked down by Sejuani, gets away from Tyler, and Amazing J will jump away as well. But XX6 up here. Athena is there to try and defend, and BLG put the pressure on TOP's top lane.
And look who comes up to ensure that Amazing J stays alive. It's Athena. It's the person that you've just given double buffs to. It's the person who has control of the mid lane. And there is no fault to Goong in this situation. There's just nothing that he can do. Moyu then dies. We find ourselves 2-0 in the scoreline. at 3 minutes because of this.
And this is a gangplank that is not being locked down by the Nai. He's the one that's been getting the advantages. XX is behind a Sejuani. Athena's perfectly fine. Double buff from the Zoe, as you mentioned. And even when we do get to check in with the bottom lane later, Rusty, they're pushing in. Xayah and Rakan are pushing in against the Caitlyn Alistar combo.
Yeah, unfortunately for the Caitlyn and the Alistar, pushing in at level 1 does mean that the wave will bounce back and they start to build up giant stacks against one another. And so the wave will ebb and flow down in the bottom lane, meaning that they'll get damage onto structures, but not the entire time, as they're left having to try and defend and fight the good fight against a million minions.
As SKS continues to assert his dominance, taking away blue buff from XX. He's a level behind, and a couple of minions behind as well, but he has created the advantages across the map on the top side, I should say, for BLG.
Being a level behind for SKS doesn't really matter too much in the end, as he's contributed to 2 kills already. So a bit of extra bonus experience to be seen from that. And then you look at his own side of the jungle. Remember, he took away a blue buff, so he can go back and clear all of his camps, but there are less camps available for XX, so he will catch up in experience sooner or later, and then the rest of his map is ahead because of his pressure.
In fact, the only camp left for XX is the one he's taking now, the Wolf camp. Now, bottom side of the map, as you mentioned, BLG were the ones that are pushing in against TOP. They look absolutely fine in this bottom lane for now. In fact, going aggressive against Chocho. Cat will knock away the Xayah, but the damage is already done. Caitlyn knocked down under 300 hit points.
Yeah, big amounts of poke. Every time Xayah and Rakan are able to engage and they're both in range to do damage, they will tend to trade extremely well. And as long as the Xayah isn't at risk of dying, and speaking of risk of dying, XX wants a crack.
Caught out again. Gallia's going to come to the charge and look to see if he can protect Kha'Zix. Locked down by SKS. Stun. He'll get taunted up by Gallia as well. Gung looking to get a good trade, and TOP find their first kill of the match.
And that's actually just really good communication from Gung and XX to recognize that the Gallia ultimate was available, and going to the one place on the map that has jungle camps present is the Raptors. And because of this trade, he actually is slightly ahead on the Kha'Zix, and Gallia is able to contribute to the map very effectively, gets himself a blue buff. Things are actually looking up.
Hopefully this is the start that TOP need in this match, because we want to see them pick up those incremental advantages, but so far, it's been the BLG show. In fact, in the bottom lane, looking to get good damage on the Chocho again. Not much that he can do. Cat tries to turn around and get damage onto Roe, but now he's the one that's being locked down. Level 5 on the Alistar means he is still very squishy. A couple more attacks would take him down, but force the flash away.
Cat was seeing red, unfortunately. He was a little bit too excited by the prospect of stunning someone with an auto attack, and actually has to use his flash as the end result of overstaying his welcome. Chocho was nowhere near the area, and he should have just backed away. And they're threatening a dive.
They're trying to go for that dive as well. Roe tanks to the turret. They use the stopwatch. Unsealed Spellbolt will bring Caitlyn down in the bottom lane, but can they get the kill first? Yes, they can. Amazing J throws down the ultimate and gets it with the Cannon Barrage.
The teleport coming out from the Caitlyn, of course, so no harm, no foul with the teleport to the lane, but still the kill to be seen onto Cat. Compliments of Amazing J being able to secure that one with the ult himself. And that's now a 2-0 gangplank with a bunch of slice sacks of gold. He is making some serious money in the top lane 1v1.
Certainly is. Already has his Sheen. Got the early kill onto Moyu with the help of SKS and Athena. This game is not going well for TOP. They don't have any early advantage. We're not seeing the siege come out from Caitlyn Alistar. They're being pushed back by Xayah Rakan. And Athena's just found a sleepy troll bubble onto Kha'Zix. He jumps over towards Blue Buff, who thankfully knocks him out of his sleep before any damage comes through.
XX does as well use the ultimate to be invisible so that he can't get locked down by the Sejuani. They will push them out as Athena.
Gung looking to try and collapse into Athena. Chocho's going to get the knock-up to lock him down. Forced to flash back away. Small skirmishes over this blue buff, but BLG retake control of their jungle.
I'm actually quite alright with the timing here from TOP as well, going for the trades. They've recalled, they've got some items, and they're relatively strong. Top lane, Amazing J doesn't have the teleport, doesn't have the ulti, and he hasn't shopped in a little while, so he will have a lot of gold to be spending. And at a time like this, it's a window of opportunity to perhaps make those plays aggressively and look towards a blue buff steal. Counteract what's been happening to you this entire time.
BLG are playing this one very patiently, though. Waiting and forcing TOP out of their jungle before doing this, just bringing Athena back in to pick up his own blue buff. At the end of the day, they go for the skirmish, they don't deny blue, and a flash was birthed by Gung. So again, another proactive attempt from TOP, but it doesn't give them anything from it. In fact, hinders them to continue creating advantage.
The number one complaint fish that people will have with Kleptomancy as a rune page is the RNG behind the slice axe. Because we've found 2 so far for Amazing J, the thing you'll start to notice is, regardless of the 2-0 scoreline, the item advantage that he would have in that lane is usually what makes the difference up there. And when you've got free boots, when you've got a free stopwatch, it accelerates the timing on that Trinity Force. There's a chance that he completes it at about 12 minutes and suddenly no one can contest the gangplank. Suddenly he's one-hitting everybody after winning his lane.
Touched on it in a bit, but XX has found SKS looking to go for a trade. One more stack of the Sejuani passive will be able to get him into stun. Teleports being thrown into the bottom lane by Athena as well. Road even looking to try and collapse. Jumps on SKS, jumps in, gets the charm, locks him down. XX uses the stopwatch, but he's just going to fall off the back of that, and Athena gets another kill for himself.
How many times we've seen XX go aggressive, go forwards, look towards the invades, and then find the engages with a Galio, but Galio doesn't want to do that. That's way too risky to make the play. He is made to pay for it, but you think you compliment most of that to Road actually for being there this time, ensuring that it's not just a 1v2 or even a 2v2 skirmish, that they're all there and you cannot just invade anymore without your lanes coming to help.
And that really shows how little pressure is being put on the bottom side of the map, but good damage coming out from Athena again in the mid lane. Caitlyn outside, you expect him to be pushing in, but Road has all the time in the world to meander into that middle lane and get that good gank off, get the kill. Now Gung's the one in trouble after all the damage that's been dished out, but SKS can't hit a skill shot to save his life at the moment. Forced back away from the turret.
And has to flash at the end as well to get himself out. I like the idea, but I think that was a bit of a stretch, honestly, from the side of BLG. It's good pressure nonetheless. May force the teleport out from Gung to try and defend his turret, so you take that as a win, as now XX wants some pressure in the mid lane.
Charges in, but Athena's already cleared out the wave and will be heading back to base, just stopping him from recalling for now. But they're going to go ahead and reset the map. Already BLG have picked up a 2,000 gold lead for themselves. Teleports are available for the 80 carry as well as their top laner. Moyus is back up online and Cholcho has swapped back to a heal on his Caitlyn. But TOP were not able to find those early game advantages. They don't have the incremental lead. Now it's on BLG. I'm curious to see how they're going to continue accelerating this, as Athena forced to flash away from a gank, but he's perfectly fine in the mid lane.
Gets caught in a tragic pose though, in the middle of being put to bed. Never seen someone sleep in awkward positions. It'd be very difficult to sleep. But in saying that, the pressure was still there. And I feel like that is, as timing goes to take the pressure plays to try and look towards a lane, I think mid lane's the only one that you can do that for. But he's still behind an item spike, so it requires the perfect play to still even kill the Zoe in this context. It's a completed Morello's to Merc treads in a Catalyst on the way to a first item. And for right now, that's the only lane that you could maybe look at besides top lane, but Moyu's always pushing, you'd have to threaten a dive, which means 3 people would have to be up there, and Zoe's controlling the mid lane wave too much. So they do pick the one lane that they can gank, and they at least try to execute on that. Unfortunately, it fails, but they still get a summon a spell from it, so they can come back if they want.
Yep, they get Athena splash. He will have teleport back up soon, thanks to Unsealed Spellbook. The cooldown reduction is fairly quick for Athena in the mid lane. Bottom lane still a pain for top at the moment, or TOP I should say, as Jinzhao and Road are consistently pushing in Caitlyn and Alistar underneath their turret.
How annoying it must be to be playing Caitlyn and just be stuck under your own structures. And of course, he's upgraded the Targons as well for a bit of extra sustain in that lane, just a couple more stacks to be seen, and the shield, of course, when you hit to the maximum stacks. But he is behind in items. They're not behind in CS, so you will take that. But as Caitlyn spikes, Zarya spikes super hard as well. And when these team fights become front to back, which you would expect with tanks, with frontline, with backline, all in the compositions, then you'd almost say Jinzhao will be doing more damage.
Jojo will get protection from his team, but now we're focusing top side of that as XX come in for a gank against Amazing J, using his ultimate. Good damage placed down. Eats an orange, but is he K? Pops the stopwatch as well.
Oh, no, he's not.
Moyu's going mega and locks him down, even throws the minions back for good measure. TOP get another pick.
Just in case a miracle happened there of a mistiming from Moyu. Throws out the ultimate for good measure.
But they're going to try and turn around in the bottom lane as Cat and Cholcho underneath this turret. They're getting good damage onto the bottom lane outer, as the TOP duo of XX and Moyu slowly chip away the top lane outer. Jinzhao trying to get as much auto attacks in. SKS looking to wrap around. Zoe's joining the fight as well. Bursting down the turret first.
Here comes the Galio.
Gonna try and charge in. Teleport comes in from Moyu as well. Going to a full-blown skirmish. Road forced to jump away. Steps on a trap. Doesn't take the pill over Peacemaker. As Jinzhao now turns around the fight. Stopwatch being used. Put to sleep. Chill, good night. As Gung falls shortly after as well. And only Moyu is left standing in this skirmish.
XX on the other side of the map, so so he's not able to contribute. He's still just going to push, and unfortunately TOP, they respond to that with all of their forces, and those forces weren't really equipped to continue that fight. The turret was already gone. They should have just left it be, let it go. These things happen, but they choose to take the fight, and they lose a trade.
And now BLG with a 3,000 gold lead over TOP, taking down structures on the bottom side of the map, opening it back up for them to continue pushing with Amazing J. Trinity Force complete in the bottom lane.
You want to talk about item spike timings as well. The big MVP of this replay is actually Jin Zhao using the ultimate at the last second to dodge. And of course, SKS comes in to secure the turret. So they lock him down, and just before the auto attack comes out from Cat to secure the stun inside a Galio ultimate. Road, of course, dodging at the last second the Caitlyn Q that would have killed him. And then you get to watch what happens when you go to sleep, but it's not bedtime yet. Abruptly woken up by your mum yelling, "Dinner's ready." Just me?
Well, dinner was served for BLG as they pick up multiple kills in the bottom lane. And they're going to continue to snowball that advantage. TOP, this is what we kind of expected them to do if they wanted to have any chance in this match. Not working out for them. And it's going to be BLG that the aggressors in this match, even range. Locking down Cat in the bottom lane. However, good traps placed out by Chocho, stops him from chasing for a while. Ultimate will come out from gangplank. XX is rotating down, but so is Athena right behind him. XX will get the jump onto Zoe. Ultimate comes out for Caitlyn, and stopwatch keeps Athena alive. But TOP are now the ones looking to try and turn around the fight. XX over the wall gets the assassination onto Athena from the mid lane. TOP get that skirmish.
XX at the correct place, at the correct time, will find the Zoe, and still, whilst she does a lot of damage, is a very fragile champion, and they do take him down. The stopwatch also being burnt at the end of that means that Zoe could very easily die in any future skirmishes. An overreach from BLG, trying very hard to secure the kills. Teleporting now for it.
They're jumping down. Chocho will get locked down by SKS. Jin Zhao's going to teleport into the fight as well. XX in trouble. Rogue will not connect with the ultimate, gets the kill anyway. Throws out the Q. BLG return with 2 more.
And TOP just are not allowed to siege that structure. They're not allowed anywhere near the area. Every time they consider it, there will be some kind of resistance, some kind of fight there. And this time for BLG, if they choose, there is a Cloud Drake to be secured. But constantly this ring around the rosy at the moment of TOP trying to go where BLG aren't, trying to cause number advantages for skirmishes, means that BLG aren't prioritizing these neutral objectives. The Herald, the Cloud Drake, not important compared to defending your structures and killing them.
And this is kind of what we expected in this match. 2 teams brawling whenever they can. TOP, however, they needed that gold lead to win these brawls, and it has not been working out for them. It's been BLG that have been 1 step ahead every single step of the way.
And as we look at completed items now as well, the Galio, the Gnar, the Kha'Zix, they've all got finished items, even Caitlyn as well with the Infinity Age. And so you look at their itemization, you're like, that's not bad. If ever there was a time for them to try and skirmish or team fight, now would be that time. Of course, they're grouped up around the middle lane for that, but then you look at their opponents, and the one completed item that a Gangplank has is a Trinity Force, more expensive, more valuable perhaps than that of a Black Cleaver. You look at mid lane, that's the completed flat magic penetration from the Zoe on top of the Morello. So everyone who doesn't have resistance will get absolutely destroyed by her, and that is everybody except for the Galio. So the Zoe is very strong. It means the only way that TOP, even when they're equipped with these items, can win a team fight is if they kill Zoe first.
They don't have the hard initiation tools to try and pick off Athena though, but good damage can still come out from Kha'Zix, as well as Caitlyn try and lock down Zoe, but she's just so slippery. And at the moment, sticking by that mid lane outer turret, very difficult to try and lock down Athena.
And if anyone can catch her out of position, then it would definitely be the Kha'Zix with a Duskblade completed. The one hit is what you're looking towards. She is super fragile, and they're playing on the bottom side of the map. You can see where Kha'Zix is posturing, taking away that red buff. BLG don't want anything to do with defending that structure besides the gangplank.
On top of that, we've already seen XX being able to do that against Athena in the last fight. He was able to lock her down during a rotation. So instead of rotating around the map, BLG send the troops to herd lane instead.
Oh, XX, this is really awkward. He's not in his own jungle, let's put it that way firstly. Needs to try and recall somewhere.
He's got wards to protect him during this recall, so he should be okay. During this time, BLG will take away a Cloud Dragon. He was looking for that rotation, looking to try and get the snipe onto Athena or someone squishy from BLG. Doesn't get it. Doesn't cost him much either, though.
SKS has the Herald, they go and pick up the Drake, and this is what I mean with the compositions. You get an advantage, you use that advantage to take team fights or areas where there could be team fights for free in this case. No response available from TOP. The gold lead is stretched even further, and with the Herald sitting there for SKS, towers fall. They've already got the mid lane outer turret, so they could pick anywhere they'd like.
All 3 outer turrets have been taken down by BLG. TOP only have that top lane, which was traded during the team fight that BLG picks up in the bottom side of the map. Now they've reset the map. We already mentioned they've got a 4,000 gold lead for themselves. Big item power spikes for multiple members on the team.
6 now as well.
Yeah, it's grown. 6,000 gold lead. Couldn't do math there for a second. But XX, is he going to be able to take down Jin Zhao here? Gets the Galio ultimate to get some good damage and resistance, but Jin Zhao dives away. Road's going to be the casualty, however, as Chocho puts down a couple of good traps. Jin Zhao still trying to kite this one back, but TOP find the pick with the Kha'Zix again.
The cupcakes were expertly placed in this case by Chocho to be able to secure that one. So well done from TOP. The composition, the execution that we've seen once before in this game already, we will get to see that a second time as they secure the picks. But it's just Road, and it's just the support that's taken down. And then you look at what do they get from it? Will they delay the activation of the Herald? They won't crush the eye as quickly, BLG, but they don't even push this turret. Far too risky to threaten such a thing. They can't step up, so they get a single kill.
Does pull back the gold lead slightly by about 500 to 600 gold. However, that's what TOP need to keep doing. Use XX, get the assassinations, get the picks, and then try and find something to take from BLG. BLG being very patient though. They're taking objective after objective, making sure they play it slow as well.
And well, it is TOP, so what they will be looking towards is that giant purple worm that stands out to them like a beacon of hope. Gold deficit, gold lead, it's still their beacon.
Desperate Barons never fail. Good attempt for one, but it's BLG that have the vision control over the red side jungle against TOP. SKS even moving very deep into TOP side of the jungle.
Well, the way that TOP would play this, if they don't have control of the area, is they will just jump over the wall. And they'll still do it, because they're TOP. They want that.
However, BLG are making the first proactive play after the stalemate we've had for some time, throwing Rift Herald down in the mid lane. Inner turret is under siege. BLG will take this one down fairly easy. TOP too late on the rotation.
Big turret to get as well. Herald will get a second charge off, not for full health, however, just about half. Chunk out that turret as well. And whilst they're doing this, they get the mid lane inner turret, so easier access to the Baron pit because they get better control over the enemy red buff and Raptor pit. Specifically with those areas, that is the fastest way to get to the Baron and the least dangerous way to get to the Baron that is now controlled by BLG.
Which is unfortunate for TOP, because they're the ones that like to move towards that pit. And once again, it's Cat, as well as XS, moving to try and see if they can get wards down, but initiation comes out from Road. They lock down the Kha'Zix, barely jumps onto the wall. He gets put to sleep and smites the Krugs, giving himself some health back to stay alive. But SKS again, whiffing another ultimate thrown out towards Chocho. Doesn't get that. BLG just forced TOP away from their jungle.
Those Krugs were so close to playing as subs for the blue team here, but Bilibili do not secure the pick onto the jungler. However, they push him back. He's now in base. He has to get some health back, and more time, more ability to press forwards is now available to Bilibili, and they start to do exactly that. But first things first, cover your side lanes. It was a good look, good opportunity. The opportunity proves to not bear fruit.
As they try to lock down Road here, not able to do so. He's a little bit slippery on the Rakan, but Cat did use both his summoner smells in that last team fight, so they'll be down if BLG try to push for another objective.
Yeah, and in the summoner spell trade overall, when you look at both teams, it was TOP that came out worse for it. Alistar, yes, he has the unsealed spellbook, 25% CDR on those summoner spell uses, but not having either of them means that he has no engage there besides just being in position and perhaps something like a Righteous Glory, but he hasn't gone that way. He's gone for a Locket.
He's picked up the Locket component, still looking to upgrade it, which he does now after heading back to base. In fact, Athena teleporting back in, seems like he picked that up as one of his spells. BLG with big item power spikes, Essence Reaver and Rapid Fire Cannon already complete by Jin Zhao, looking for his second BF sword item. Chocho's not looking too shy himself with the Infinity Edge and Static Shift complete for Caitlyn. Slowly bridging that mid-game weakness that Caitlyn brings to a team.
Very slow from the side of TOP in the way that they're trying to play this one out. Just the picks around the ultimate timings. If there's ever a world where Galio can get the ultimate off, that's the only time we've seen them press forwards, try and be super aggressive in their play. A lot of it is about just trying to scale up now, and that is kind of just what happens when a Caitlyn loses lane, and Caitlyn is majority of your control currently. The Gangplank was already out of hand by the early rotations and kills of Bilibili. Mid lane was the exact same.
It's even worse now as Macy J is 3,000 gold up. in comparison to Moyu. Has the Sterix Gauge, has Trinity Force.
I think he's going Static Shift too.
Static Shift? Over a Phantom Dancer? No, he gets
going
it.
Phantom
Gets the
Dancer.
Phantom Dancer.
I was hoping he just goes cheesy into Wave Clear and focus the kegs on killing people, but he wants the duel, same thing.
Amazing J sticks to the standard route that you see. But that's a 3-item gangplank with boots complete as well.
Whoa,
Oh,
my God,
XX,
he's
good
gone a bit.
night. Is he going to die? He does. Sniped by the Cannon Barrage. And BLG get a pick with Athena.
Just Zoe things. They find a single person gets put to sleep, and bam, Dirty's gone.
No smite available means BLG turned their eyes towards Baron. TOP ungrouped up here. Moyu is not here, but Goong is going to try and look to wrap around.
That's possible, but with 5k health left, you're expecting something soon from TOP, if at all.
Cat's popped the ultimate. He wants to try and jump in. 2,000 health on the Baron. Do they jump in? Goong does not. Smite comes down, and now BLG look for the flank. Cho forced to flash away. Road's going to hunt him down. Finally, SKS nails the skill shot, giving the parlay over to Amazing J. And a clean Baron take from BLG.
Enough mobility from BLG to follow up with the kill into Cho as well. Minions coming in with the Baron buff. Nothing in the world should be able to stop them from sieging in here, BLG, as they threaten the first inhibitor of the game.
Mid lane inhibitor is going to fall. BLG pick up a 10,000 gold lead with 3 minutes of Baron buff to work with as well. As much as we said that TOB had the option to try and break into this game, had the option to try and find the comeback when the goal deficit was small. Now BLG are in the territory they want to be. They're in team fighting 26 minutes into a match, ready to take it to TOP.
I think that's the point that you mentioned earlier, Fish, that stands out to me the most as well. They just got the Baron, and then they just got the inhibitor immediately afterwards. So when you look at buff duration remaining, anything they want, BLG. They could sit there, they could set up side lanes and acknowledge that mid's already going to push. And even without the Baron buff, they could continue to try and siege just because of how far ahead they are, specifically the Gangplank, who'll be coming through, one-hitting everybody with the kegs. They have so much threat with that Baron. They could do anything they choose. He just used the barrier to pick up the barrier.
On top of that, XX's job has now become a lot more difficult. He was trying to catch people out. He got the pick onto Road, found a pick onto Athena to try and find those skirmishes for TOP.
He's tried.
With Baron buff, though, BLG might just be grouping up to knock down turrets together as a team.
Yeah, very hard to assassinate people now, and very hard to actually be sitting on a flank when a lot of the tanks have mobility here, Rakan and Sejuani. Meaning that if your role is flanking, well, you can't do that anymore, so you actually have to stand with your team. And a Kha'Zix that has a Duskblade building into a BF sword as well isn't really relevant when standing with his team. In fact, he will just die.
Yeah, he is trying to run away from Road here. Road goes for initiation, misses, but Gangplank barrel from Amazing J just does so much damage to XX. BLG group up as 4, and now 5 top side of the map, taking down top lane inner turret, marching towards the second inhibitor.
The best case scenario for TOP here is an engage and trading people's lives for the defense of their base. Alistar can go forwards, Galio can follow. I think that's the only thing they've really got left for themselves.
Well, Moyu's about to go Mega, but Cat next to no hit points remaining after he gets put to sleep. Athena relentless with the poke coming out from Zoe. Trapline has been put down by Chol, stopping BLG from aggressively pushing into the base, but they still have a minute of Baron buff to work with. They can slowly chip away at these turrets.
Yeah, Cat chooses not to ultimate in that situation. They still want to look towards the fight, but the turret's getting chunked out lower and lower. They're running out of time.
There's the initiation for Cat. Gets a double knockup, but Jinjiao's absolutely fine. Galio ultimate onto the backlines. XX trying to jump into Amazing J. Get good damage, and they take him down. TOP with the first pick, but now it's going to be Bilibili Gaming going back in for the team fight. Cho gets sniped by Athena in the backlines. Looking to try and go for more. Blocked by minions, still jumping forward. Trouble Bubble does not connect. 2-for-1 trade going in favor of BLG.
And yes, they kill Amazing J, but Bilibili still have the Baron buff for 20 seconds. Super minions threatening, inhibitors falling. They're actually looking for the end.
Pushing for the base. XX jumps onto Road. Good damage onto Rakan, but he's going to live to tell the tale. TOP trying to defend their base, but the first Nexus turret is going to fall. SKS and Jinjiao fairly healthy. Athena still has plenty of damage on the Zoe. Respawn times for Cho. He's 10 seconds away, but again, Athena with another snipe in this match. And the Nexus is now bare. A very clean game coming up from BLG. Almost clinical against TOP. And even though Cho and Cat are going to come back and online, it will be BLG to pick up game number 1.
At 28 minutes and 30 seconds nearly on the dot, they'll find themselves with the Game 1 victory over TOP. And you wouldn't expect any other result, honestly, when the third place team taking on the 7th in their respective groups. But still a very good showing, honestly, from BLG. Their early game was quite strong. Their movements around the map, their rotations, Athena is the person that you look towards, the man who only plays Azir. In this game, once again picks up his second Zoe of the split, shows that he's practiced off backstage in all of these weeks and comes up clutch.
Azir was left open as well during the draft phase, so he decided not to go back to the champion that he was known for, and had a good performance in the Zoe on top of that. Able to find those picks, able to get the late game picks underneath those turrets, dish the damage that he can with the paddle stars. However, for TOP, they are the underdogs coming to this, as you mentioned. Bilibili Gaming are definitely the favorites. They tried to execute on their strategy, but it just seems like BLG understood exactly what TOP were trying to do every step of the way.
Well, they just did it better than TOP. That's the thing. You know, you look at jungle skirmishes that were happening. XX wants to go forwards. It worked once at level 6 when the Galio was level 6, I should say. But on the opposite side, level 3 Zoe was there first. Level 3 Zoe went top lane after clearing mid lane again and was just relevant everywhere to the point where a Galio, who is purposed and designed to clear waves and leave lane, could not execute on that whatsoever and was just completely bested by Athena in the mid lane on that Zoe.
Yeah, two teams that really want to go for those early game scrolls and team fights, and TOP without that advantage meant that BLG were picking up every single one. They got a couple of mid-game snipes. XX got a couple of picks, but every single time there was just no objective for TOP to take after that single pick.
Yeah, it was just the pick, and then they were stuck in a defensive position, pushing out waves or trying to re-establish control of the map. And it was about getting that second pick where TOP failed to execute and Bilibili were able to capitalize.
And with that BLG pickup, game number 1 over TOP, we're going to send it back to the analyst desk now to break down that game.
Hi there. Oh, we're just waking up from a sleepy trouble nap that we just happened to catch ourselves into. Athena, he was just catching everybody with all those sleepy trouble bubbles, so he put us to sleep here on the desk. But BLG, they close out the win. Now it's time for some post-nap excitement as we break down what just happened, because that was not a sleepy game.
No, it wasn't. BLG snapped their backs. That's exactly what happened. Here's the thing about this game, because even though it felt like BLG had them in minute 1, just because of course of the invade, Kha'Zix losing buffs, of course, to Zoe, you're like, okay, well this is rough. How do you get back into it? I love the fact that the communication between both Kha'Zix, XX, and Goong nets them back into it.
Yeah, that I think the play that you're referring to was the initial invade from XX after already giving up a little bit of presence over to SKS, who still is on target with tracking people time and time again. I swear, this guy has got like a radar that just has a constant blip for where the enemy jungler is around the map. Yeah,
and here's the thing about it. The fact that he was able to get that kill onto the Sejuani was great just because of the composition. If we look back at what the composition was for TOP, it was pretty much straightforward. Get the control in the mid lane with Galio, look bottom lane for a dive. It looked very much really heavily focused on that factor. Only real problem came into the second play because this was the finish where essentially the bottom side of BLG roamed to kill XX. How did that happen? Well, it happened because XX had some beautiful vision control in the bottom side of the map. Like, had deep vision into the red side jungle as well. Galio was coming back into the lane. Bottom side of the map as well was just coming back in. If you play it patiently, wait for the wave, Galio pushes that out, you can hog into that side of the map, and then that looks into a 4-man dive toward the bottom lane. But he goes in, XX that is, goes in for a play onto the Sejuani alone, gets caught up, and then loses everything.
Yeah, you could even see that early on during the laning phase, but once that Xayah and Rakan could start setting up by pushing the waves, BLG quick to take advantage, dive, and completely turn around TOP's play.
This was a good response by BLG. They look for this dive immediately after Kha'Zix goes top lane to get a kill onto the GP. So this was a result of essentially, you know what, the jungler's top side, we know that to be the case. We'll go towards the bottom lane, we'll get the dive. There was a contest because we saw the Narc come down to TP on the bottom side of that map, but by that point, Athena's already roamed down to the bottom lane and gotten those kills. So it was very quick because BLG always had the proper response, always had the members in tow, and it felt like TOP never really were. They always searched for the cheap kills rather than what their composition was initially intending them to do.
And this is, again, where I think we can commend BLG a little bit, because we are seeing them start to take some of these early skirmishes, start to take some of these early game fights, which propel them so well. Once they pick up a little bit of tempo, they don't need to rely on being a late game miracle worker team, because they're able to play out their advantages slow and smart.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about it in the pre-desk about the fact that we should expect a 3-man dive top lane. Now, the expectation was that GP would be on Moyu, No, it didn't
The
happen
other way
because,
around.
yeah, Amazing J was able to pick that up in the first rotation. It was really smart from them to be able to do that for themselves. But then the moment they found that early game advantage off the kill, they go top lane for a 3-man dive. Of course, we're able to go pick up more kills around the Zoe off that. So I think that overall, BLG, even though there was that kind of small misplay around, what's it called, initially when SKS was getting ganked out by the Kazakhs. That was the only misplay I saw coming in from BLG. They just had a smart read of the map from that point forward.
And of course, the objective trade-offs, like you said, TOP, looking for the small wins, the cheap kills, instead of the bigger plays where BLG, they're diving top, they're diving bottom, they're taking Dragon, they're taking Herald even.
Yeah, so that's why when you go back into the, back into the green room, thinking about game 2, for me, if I am TOP, you have to run the entire early game back again. You only have like about 5 minutes to be able to do that. The only thing you have to say is, what did we get this composition for? Why did we pick up a Galio? Sure, that was nice to be able to get the Galio kill initially, but you have to play it slower. Yeah. I think XX was a little bit too impulsive that game, looking for too many plays onto the 2v2 onto the jungle matchup, when he could have taken a step back, had a good idea what the vision was there for, and then just kind of slow play it towards the bottom lane. Yeah, play it slower, it looks better.
And of course, Goong's opponent, that Athena, he takes our man of the match for game 1 on the likes of that Zoe, landing so many Sleepy Trouble Bubbles and doing a huge amount of damage for his team.
Yeah, as a byproduct, you have good control of the map later on, and the skirmishes kept coming through. He found great opportunities, and so he was able to get those Sleepy Trouble Bubbles.
It's so funny too, because we previously thought of Athena as the sleeping mid laner. When he's awake, he is on fire. But when he's kind of sleeping, maybe he just kind of sits back in lane and lets himself get pushed in. Well, he's found a champion that fits that.
Yeah, split the split. Last split was definitely the case. This split, it feels like it's an Athena type of set. So far, Athena's been on point for the first 4 weeks, and it looks like he's not letting up.
He certainly hasn't. Well, we're going to have to let up for a few minutes while we get ready for game number 2. But don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back.